Yes, and as I told you, home of African music. Now, for those who have been listening to me, we are coming to the segment that I promised you I'm going to be telling you. This is based on a true story, and any name I might be using here, it is not real names. So be cautious on that. This time is the time for Diaspora Stories on Diaspora Chronicles, based on a real story. Thank you for Radio RFM for compiling this one, and I'm telling you, the bitter lessons of diaspora generosity. Remember, going straight to it, Kwame sat at his desk in his tiny apartment in Tübingen, staring at the frost that had gathered on the window pane. It was another harsh winter morning, and though the temperatures read -4 degrees Celsius, it felt colder as he rode his bike to work, braving icy winds that beat as the gloved fingers. All these hardships, all these sacrifices, he thought were for one purpose: to ensure that those he left back home in Ghana could have a better life. Kwame had always been the go-to person for friends and family back at home. Anytime someone needed help, he could stretch himself thin to send whatever he could spare. His recent experience with his childhood friend, Kofi, however, had left him questioning everything. 2 weeks ago, Kofi had called him in tears. "Charlie, these times are hard and I need your help," he said. He needed money to pay off his debts, he explained, or he could face dire consequences. Without a second thought, Kwame sent Ghanaian cedis 3,000. Days went by and Kwame received no acknowledgement from Kofi. Puzzled, he decided to call. "Oh, yeah, I got the money," Kofi said dismissively, as though Kwame had simply fulfilled some old obligations. "But Charlie, is that all you could send? 3,000 Ghanaian cedis?" Kwame sat in a stunned silence before he could respond. Kofi ended the call. That evening, scrolling through social media, Kwame's heart sank further. There was Kofi grinding in a bar, bottles of expensive drinks lined up on the table. "Life is for the living," Kofi's caption read. The betrayal burned for Kwame. Each euro he earned came from back-breaking work in the freezing cold. The particular week, he had cycled to work in weather that felt like it was -6 degrees Celsius, battling slippery roads and bitter winds. He was still paying off debts of his own, debts incurred in pursuit of greener pastures abroad. Tübingen, Jesus. As Kwame shared his frustrations on a group chat for Africans here in diaspora, he realized he wasn't alone. His friend Amma recounted a similar tale. "One of my cousins," she typed angrily, "converted the money I sent into euros, laughed and said, 'This is all she could give me.'" Amma added that her cousin had mocked her for what he deemed a small amount. Then there was Benny, another member of the group, who offered his wisdom. "It is how many of them are brought up," he said. "They feel entitled, no shame, no gratitude. If you want to help, learn how to do it smartly. Otherwise, you will always end up heartbroken." Kwame sighed as he read Benny's words. He thought back to the countless sleepless nights, the homesickness, and the sacrifice he had made to ensure his people back at home could live comfortably. Yet, time and again, he had been met with ingratitude. "I am done," Kwame muttered to himself. "From now, if I work, they work too." My sweat isn't for funding anyone's bar outings. He decided then and there were to prioritize himself. He wasn't abandoning his loved ones, but days of being taken for granted were over. You're listening to Diaspora Chronicles. Moral lesson of this, according to Radio RFM, the struggles of Africans in diaspora often go unrecognized by those back at home. Sacrifices made in cold, distant lands are belittled, and hard-earned money is sometimes squandered or mocked. Gratitude is a rare commodity, and for many, like Kwame, it takes heartbreak to learn the hard lesson. Help wisely or not at all. What do you think on this story? What are you going through if you are here in diaspora? This is Diaspora Chronicles behind the MIC. Canido Richards. Remember to join us each and every day for diaspora stories on Diaspora Chronicles based on real stories. Join us on our social media platforms. Remember, on Radio R 99.2 FM, on Instagram, on YouTube, where most of the episodes are, on Radio R FM, home of African music, and on Facebook, Radio R, and on X and TikTok, on Radio R FM _. Until the next story, tomorrow, same time, this is Diaspora Chronicles on Radio RFM.